Hello, Truth Seekers. Lawrence here, and welcome to Easy Enlightenment. So, the reason to start the spiritual journey is to figure out the answer, isn't it? Right now, you're seeking for the answer and hoping the answer will be revealed, and with that answer, all your suffering will end. That's what you're hoping, that's what you fantasize. You don't realize that there is no answer in the spiritual journey. Why? Because you are the answer. What you're seeking is you. You without the mind. You without the identification. You without the ideas. You without the layers. And we can say that is the answer. But to get there, we have to remove all the questions and answer altogether. And that's the way to see the plain sight truth of who we are. That's the way to see the nature of the consciousness. And that is the emptiness. And who we are, in a true sense, is empty without the mind. So when we wait to see the answer, is the false hope. There's no answer. Now, to figure out the answers, meditation is the trend right now, isn't it? If you are being part of the spiritual practice, you are associated with the meditation practice. And when you are sitting down to meditate, what actually you are doing? You are holding the technique, and with that technique, controlling the body, you're controlling the mind. And when you control yourself like that, you think that eventually that control movement will take you to the answer, isn't it? You hope for something in the meditation. And if you are being part of the silent meditation, you're hoping for the answer too. You're sitting quietly, and hoping something will happen. No matter what technique you're applying in your spiritual practice, that technique itself is the restriction. The technique itself is the blockage, the wall you're creating, not to see your true self. Anything you add in the process itself becomes the limitation. And right now, the meditation has become the biggest limitation. I'm saying it is the biggest limitation in your spiritual practice because your meditation, when you control your body or when you sit in silence, what happens is you are conditioning yourself. And you're conditioning yourself with that technique, and also from the byproduct of that technique is the experience. Notice when you are controlling your body, after some times you're experiencing something, isn't it? There's a surge of energy, happening in the body. There's a visual experience happening in you. So this body experience and a mental experience, and also the mystical experience, with the visual experience, when that happens, and when you continue your meditation practice, you are conditioning yourself, isn't it? No matter how mystical experience you're going through, how much energy you're feeling in the body, the surge of energy, all this experience is happening on the consciousness itself. consciousness makes it possible all experience to come and rise, rise and fall. And a true spiritual journey is about figuring out the background that supports all experience to come and go. And when you are having the, amazing, extraordinary experience above the physical experience, you get caught in that. And every time you prolong your meditation is to get there, isn't it? Basically, what you're trying to hang out with God. Some of you are actually thinking this. You sit in the meditation to hang out with God. See how the ego self is trying to manipulate the spiritual game, and the ego self is you. Your ego is manipulating you to go through all the experience except the one which is about dying in the ego self. And that's the way to fail to see the plain sight truth. Especially when you are ingrained in the meditation practice or any spiritual practice, and when the experience starts to gather from the spiritual practice, meditation practice, your ego self makes it the impression that what you have gone through is true. It is true because, again, it is not physical. And also, when you are collecting ideas about the spiritual practice, you have gathered the information that the spiritual practice is not physical. It's beyond physical and mental. And that visualization is mental, but you see above mental. It's not thinking, but it's visual. It's mystical. And it's so easy to make that as true. And ego self loves to make something true when something comes in as a peak experience, and visual experience is the peak experience in the meditation practice and the spiritual practice. And some of you had this mystical experience, and now you are repeating those techniques in your meditation, and now you are ingrained in that practice and repeating that practice. But you also are finding difficulties to get that experience back. You are having a hard time to repeat that experience, isn't it? Now you tried, but you're not there. And from that, you also have another idea that it's a one-time thing. The ego loves to create idea upon idea. So this is the reason we are failing to see the plain sight truth. We are failing to see that we are the truth. When the practice becomes ingrained in us, we repeat, we prolong that practice, and prolonging any practice is the way to avoid to see who we are. And because of that, we all continue to seek for the answer, and the simple answer, which which is the consciousness itself, we avoid that. For the ego self, the answer shouldn't be simple. It should be advanced. And our human nature is, human nature is like that. The mental nature is that. The egotistical nature is that. We don't like simple stuff. We like advanced stuff. The mind is all about that. Upgrading, refining, rearranging, and creating the new height. And when our whole life is moving in that order, upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. We are conditioned in that. We become that. And now when you start to walk in the spiritual path, we are seeking for the highest answer. So far, whatever answer you have received is not enough for you in the spiritual practice. Now you're seeking more and more. Why? Because of the conditioned body, conditioned mind, because of the ego. Not realizing that it's not about the upgrade, it's not about rearranging, it's not about peak experience, it's about dissolving all of that. Dissolving, dismantling, part we discard. Now ask yourself, what am I doing in my spiritual practice? You know what you're doing. And if you're hearing what I'm saying, the spiritual practice is about dissolving, not upgrading. And when you reflect, you know what you're doing. And some of you have been being part of the meditation for decades and decades. And you're still seeking for upgrade. You're still waiting for the answer to happen. And the more you wait, basically, you're denying the backward movement. You're denying the dissolving work in you, dissolving the mind. Until you dissolve the mind, you won't see who you are. You are the truth, but you won't see what is the truth in you. So dissolving has to be there to see who you are. Waiting and refining, upgrading is not the way. And your own experience should, kind of remind you now that it's not working. Especially if you have been you have been part of the practice for decades, and if you're not able to see the plain sight truth, you're doing something wrong. Something wrong here means you are waiting, you are adding, and you're refining on that. The refinement always feels good because you have a new ideas coming for your spiritual practice. You're labeling new ideas. You're putting new meanings in your practice. Yeah, the meaning is all great for the ego. Notice how much the ego loves about the new, loves the meaning about your practice. And the world is providing the new meanings for your practice. And when you hear it, you're associating with it. You align with it. And you continue that journey, hoping you'll get there soon. And if you're not being part of the subtractive work, if you're not being part of the dismantling work, you're just fantasizing, you're just hoping, and that hope is just hopeless. You'll get nowhere, and that's why your fear continues, your conflict continues, your drama is continuing, and because of all that, you're suffering. Isn't you suffering? Now, if you want to end the suffering, take a pause from what you're doing and think, realign with what true spirituality is, and align with the process on how to get there. Silence practice doesn't work. Sorry to be blunt, but it doesn't work. The silent practice doesn't work until you have done the dismantling work. If you are thorough in dismantling the work, and if you have seen the root, and if you have dismantled the root in all aspects of your life, and when you sit in silence, and when you ask yourself, who am I? At that point, your silence works. But without the thoroughness of your mind, sitting in a silence doesn't work. And the rest of the other meditation doesn't work at all to figure out who you are. All the spiritual practice may work in the physical, to help you in the physical world, to rearrange yourself, but to be free from your mind, aligning with the technical practice, spiritual practice, it doesn't help you to get to who you are. It just adds more meaning, more experience in your life. You're just making your mind bigger and bigger through the practice. And real journey is about dissolving the mind, not getting your mind bigger and bigger with the credential, with the experience, with ideas. And when you make yourself bigger in the mind, you don't realize that you are the answer. Again, there's no answer in the spiritual practice. You are the answer. And what is that answer? When we have to level ourselves in the practice, what is that answer? Is you, without the mind, without the layers, without your credential. Who are you without the credential, without the mind? That is simply the consciousness. That's it. Okay, that's all in this video. I know the construction is starting now in this place. You can hear it. Good time to end the video. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care for now. Bye.